Sly Cooper and his gang are back, and this time they're traveling the world, taking on international criminal masterminds. They're after some of the most valuable and the most dangerous artifacts in existence. The perfect challenge for Sly to prove himself as the heir to the Cooper name. But a good thief's job is never done, and in order to pull off these heists, Sly's going to need a host of new skills, a bag of new equipment, and maybe even a little help from his old friends. Oh boy, what a treat. Sly 2, Band of Thieves is a stealth-based action platformer and second game in the Sly Cooper series, but more importantly, it is one of those rare few examples where a sequel manages to take all of the elements of the original game that were good and then expand on them to the point where it actually becomes the defining game in the series that all subsequent games would try to imitate. If you were a fan of the original, Sly 2 is pretty much exactly what you would have wanted in a follow-up. It's bigger, broader, and more detailed in pretty much every way. Now, at the highest structural level, Sly 2 resembles its predecessor in a lot of ways. The game is still divided into a series of levels, each one representing a different geographic location. Each of these levels still has a hub world as well as some smaller areas scattered around offshooting that. And your goal remains to steal some valuable item from a dangerous criminal, working your way through the different areas until you eventually trigger a final boss encounter.
So very uncool. Why can't you let birds and bees be free, bro?
Listen to me, Tree. You have no idea what you're playing with. It'll bring more than your house down.
However, the differences are in the details, and once you start actually playing Sly 2, you'll realize that almost every other aspect of the game has been altered to create a much broader and more robust experience. The most obvious example that you'll notice right away is how the game has enlarged the hub worlds, making them legitimate levels in their own right that take advantage of Sly's platforming capabilities. These are now large, interconnected environments full of places to hide or climb or explore. There are secrets and valuables to collect. There are patrolling guards who you will have to either avoid or neutralize. There are now different pathways and rooftops for you to take advantage of, and just in general, more things for you to do. In addition, Sly's own abilities have been expanded as well. You will of course start the game with all the sneaking and movement abilities that you collected in your previous adventure, but from there, Sly has some new talents as well, such as the ability to pickpocket enemy guards. Sly also has new combat skills, as well as an actual health bar, allowing you to take more than one hit in a fight. But the most interesting development is that this time around, Sly can actually use some of the money he's stolen to buy upgrades and gadgets, which, when purchased, will allow you to do things like throw smoke bombs or stun enemies, giving you an even broader range of abilities over the course of the game. Now, gameplay-wise, like the previous game, you're still going to be spending much of your time exploring the levels, making your way through platforming segments, and completing mission objectives. However, the plotting, as well as the variety of mission objectives that you will undertake, has been vastly improved. In what I can only describe as an inspired decision, Sly 2 organizes the entire game as a series of heists. Each level explains itself with a straightforward goal of stealing the goods. and then further breaks down that goal into a number of objectives. These objectives represent logical obstacles in the environment that you'll have to overcome, and each one represents a different type of challenge for you to overcome. Sometimes you'll need to defeat a bunch of guards, or maybe sneak into a secure location. Other times you'll be participating in puzzles, or mini-games, or even racing segments. There's a fantastic amount of variety on display here, and each one builds incrementally towards your gameplay and narrative goal of completing the heist. But probably the most exciting development is that Band of Thieves includes not only Sly Cooper, but also his buddies Bentley and Murray as well, and includes them not simply as talking head NPCs like the first game did, but as actual playable characters. This time around, during specific missions, you'll actually be able to select and play as Bentley or Murray. And they have their own skills, they have their own gadgets, they have their own upgrades, they have their own play styles. Each of them offering a different experience in terms of combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. Now, as for the good and bad, well, the positives of Sly 2 should be blindingly obvious. This game is in every respect superior to its predecessor. Band of Thieves manages to take all of the platforming and puzzle elements that made the original so fun, transplant them into even larger and more detailed environments, and then on top of that, just start tossing in whatever mini-games and side objectives that they could conceivably come up with, creating a game that is filled near to bursting with activity and where there's always something new to do. On top of that, the nuts and bolts of the game are still excellent as well. Sly's movement and stealth mechanics are very fluid and responsive. His new combat abilities integrate very well into gameplay. And the inclusion of Bentley and Murray means that you now have multiple choices in how to approach specific challenges. The presentation is also phenomenal, continuing the series' approach of cartoonish, cel-shaded style graphics. All of the levels and characters are bright and colorful. There's plenty of visual feedback on what is and is not interactable. And the music and sound effects are incredibly appropriate for an exciting adventure that you'll be undertaking. Also, we get the return of the original voice cast, who do a great job of bringing these characters of Sly, Bentley, and Murray to life. As for negative qualities, I'm going to be honest, I have nothing to talk about here. I have no complaints of any substance. Sly 2 is about as close to a perfect platforming adventure game as I think you can get, and in my opinion is certainly one of the best in its genre. However, I should at least acknowledge that that's my own personal opinion, and your own experience may vary. For instance, you may not enjoy the inclusion of Bentley and Murray, as they have different playstyles compared to Sly's traditional platforming abilities. Also, if you play the game quickly and don't take time to explore and collect all of the secrets and side objectives, you may find it harder to purchase some of the better upgrades in the game, which will lock you out of some of Sly's cooler abilities. Beyond that though, in my opinion, the core gameplay has no outstanding faults or weaknesses. Ultimately, this is what I meant at the beginning when I talked about Sly 2 being a definitive game. It is not simply an excellent sequel, it is the template for the rest of the series. I would give Sly 2 Band of Thieves 4 out of 4 stars and my enthusiastic recommendation. If you enjoy adventure or platforming games, or if you played the first one and thought to yourself, well, this is great, but could they do even more? Then yeah, this is definitely one you're going to want to pick up and play. Not simply a highlight of the series, but a highlight of the genre as a whole. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in, and remember, you can't steal what you love if what you love is to steal. Till next time.